He said, it's a truly wonderful fact that all animals and all plants throughout all time and space should be related to each other. This is a non sequitur. This conclusion does not logically follow from the argument. The argument is there does. Okay, in your mind, it does. I know. In your mind,
not in my mind, but in the actual reality that we can demonstrate, since all these different finches, there are different species of finches, and he was coming out of a belief system, or where people had previously believed that species were immutable, and he came to the realization that species are not immutable, and that there are features, that there is this mechanism that could derive these other different species of birds from one common ancestor, i.d. a clade, not a kind. A clade. Once again, for the nth time, the difference between a clade, which you keep calling kinds, but it's actually clades, the difference between a clade and a kind is that a kind begins with an event of special creation. You haven't shown any two items that are different kinds, but within what science would consider to be the same clade. You failed utterly to do that, despite every repetition of that question. Can you now address that question, or should we go to the other thing you're going to inevitably fail at?
Your definition of kind is if they're eukaryotes, they're the same kind. That is crazy.
My definition of kind is, as I just explained and repeatedly has repeated to you, that it is a clade that begins with a special creation. That's my definition of kind. Now, a clade will be a category of animals that includes all its descendants, and eukaryote is one of these. Trees are in it, elephants are in it, you are in it. By admission, all these things are eukaryotes. So it's not my definition that's doing it. By your agreement, they are all eukaryotes.
So the dictionary definition I got yesterday, cladistics, a method of classification of animals and plants according to the proportion of measurable characteristics that they have in common. It is assumed,
and as I already explained, the problem that your layman's dictionary approaches is that it doesn't include the monophyletic classification that it must include all of its ancestors, or all of its descendants, because that's what a clade is. That's the simplest definition of a clade, and your layman dictionary didn't get that right. That's the problem with using a layman dictionary for scientific description. It's difficult to get a layman dictionary to even properly define what an animal is, because they often describe single-celled animals, and there is no such thing.
So the whole world's been waiting for Aron to come along and write the dictionary to tell us the truth about what these words mean. Okay, well, write your dictionary. That'll be great. Post it on YouTube or on wherever you want to put it, Wikipedia or something. I'm just saying the Bible word kind is very clear that if they can bring forth. You think a pine tree and a whale are the same kind of creature, or an elephant.
Hang on.
Once again, I do not think that there is anything that is the same kind as anything else. There is no such thing as a kind, and I'm getting you to demonstrate that yourself by failing repeatedly, consistently, to show that there are kinds. Show me two kinds.
Elephant and pine tree are a different kind of life form.
God down and created elephants, and from that we got the different species of elephants, and they do not include mammoths and mastodons, because those are different. Those are not elephants. So God created separately mammoths and mastodons and loxodonts and other such things. He only created elephants. And I guess he created each one of these individual species as a different kind, according to you?
Well, it could be the African elephant and the Asian elephant have a common ancestor, but that does not
let's
prove
talk about let's go from what it could be. Give me two examples of kinds. Same question been asking you since the beginning. Give me two kinds.
Same answer I've given you since the beginning.
Which you haven't answered once. You're still going to clade.
Listen to me.
You're still going to clade instead of a kind. The difference being a clade is a group of animals that includes all its descendants. We can go with elephant, we can go with squirrel, we can go with bat, any of the ones that you mentioned. The difference between a clade and a kind is that a kind is a clade that starts with an event of special creation. So show me two special creations that science would consider closely related. Same question been asking for an hour.
How about we ask for one? Would that be acceptable, Aron, if there's one kind, create a kind? We'll start there. Especially when it comes to elephants, mastodons, and things like that nature. What would be a created kind from that original kind that all species and pachyderms and mastodons and woolly mammoths came from?
And then we got to include Sirenians too, because also the common ancestor of Sirenians. So manatees are part of the elephant kind, if you want to conclude that way.
There's 30 or 40 different things that you could probably throw in there. But what would you call that original kind?
Hold it. Don't forget to include all the planets, because they're made of the same elements, so they're the same kind also. They all have the same 92 elements.
Is it possible, Kent, that you think that other people can listen to you and think that was a smart answer
that
from
had
you?
nothing to do with what I just asked.
I don't understand how you guys can't get it. Let me.
You
try
don't
again.
understand. Just leave the sentence there. We could end the show on that sentence because that's the summary that I think everybody's gathered so far.
Honestly, I'm trying to be fair as possible. I really am. And I'm just trying to clarify things for the audience and for the people that are involved in the discussion here. I'm not trying to show any kind of favoritism for anything. I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And I asked you a question, Kent, in regards to what would be the original created kind that had been the predecessor of things like elephants and alpacaderms and woolly mammoths. And you answered something in relation to planets, and I'm not seeing the correlation there.
Well, this is because he keeps changing the definition of kind to include something I never said. He keeps saying, "Well,
change the definition. I'm using the same. I'm using the same definition consistently. It's that you don't understand what that definition is.
Oh, I understand.
And you're using the wrong one. You are describing clades.
You're saying
you understand what a clade is? A clade is the thing you keep describing. The difference between a clade and a kind is that a kind begins with a special creation. So show me two different clades that began with a special creation as opposed to a common ancestor. Give me that.
I'm not going to concede that a clade and a kind are the same thing. So don't put those words in my mouth.
No, they're not. Okay. I'm not putting those words in your mouth. I'm saying they're different. I'm the one saying they are different. You're the one that keeps confusing them.
Oh, I'm not confused at all. Listen carefully. A whale.
Keep describing a clade and calling it a kind without making any reference at all to their original creation, which is the key thing that makes a clade a kind, is whether it has been specially created. So show me the special creations, those two things that were specially created that science would consider to be in the same clade.
Well, I don't know what science would consider to be in the same clade, but
then just admit that you can't answer the question, and we'll move to the next one.
I have answered it many times.
You have failed to answer, and you said you can't answer. You just won't admit it clearly because you don't want your listeners to know that you can't answer.
Oh, Aron, listen carefully. Elephants are different than pine trees. They are a different kind of life form.
So are you saying that God created elephants and mastodons and mammoths separately?
Here you are changing. I'm saying God created elephants.
I'm not changing it. I'm not the one changing it.
Stop interrupting, please. I'm saying God created elephants and pine trees separately. Whether elephants and mastodons.
You are saying that God created elephants separate from mammoths, separate from mastodons? I didn't. Okay, then that's where we get into the phylogeny challenge. So you're saying that the elephants and mammoths were all part of the same kind then?
I don't know. Elephants and mammoths may be the same kind, but elephants and pine trees are not.
So you don't know. If you can't show me an example, right?
All right, you think elephants and pine trees are the same kind.
It comes down to a yes or no question. Can you show me two created kinds that science would consider to be in the same clade? Can you? It's just yes or no. Yeah, can you do it?
I think elephants, let's assume elephants and mammoths.
So it's not a yes and it's not a no. Can we take that as a no?
What color is the sky, yes or no? Come on, you moron.
Calling me a moron will not hide your own willful ignorance of this subject. I am the one who knows this. You are the one who knows dick about Jack. And everybody can watch this and see that. So you cannot answer the phylogeny challenge, nor will you even attempt to. You won't even hear out the question properly. Nor understand it.
I'm giving you a clear answer, and I do understand it.
You can't give me an answer. Did God specially create elephants? Separate from, so the African elephant and the Indian elephant are together in one kind, but the mammoth is a different kind? A different special creation?
I don't know.
You don't know. Thank you. That's the answer. You don't know. So you can't answer the challenge.
Do you think?
Move to the next one.
No. You think elephants and pine trees are the same kind?
Yes, they're both eukaryotes.
Okay, if you think an elephant and a pine tree are the same kind of life form,
except if we're talking about clades now, because this is the one you keep confusing. I do not believe in a special creation, so it's not a kind. It's a clade. It's a clade because it includes all of its descendants, right? So it includes elephants and it includes pine trees and it includes you and it includes raccoons and it includes grass and it includes fungus.
That's proof for all. Plus, everything. Don't forget the most important.
But there's a difference between a clade.
Aron.
And a kind.
Don't forget the most important thing. You can draw lines between them. That's proof right there.
You can draw lines too, but they would be meaningless if you don't put reasons behind them, as I can.
You can put a reason behind drawing a line between a pine tree and an elephant.
Yes, they're both eukaryotes. That's the reason.
That's proof we're related. I don't know why I never thought of that before.
They are both related in the system of classification that puts us both in the same category of eukaryote. Correct? We are both in that same category, right?
We are both. How about let's classify those that contain oxygen? How would that be a clade? Creatures that contain oxygen. Would that include Venus?
Everything that's alive.
Everything that's alive. Well, if we're going to make a different definition, you decided if it has a nucleus in the cell, therefore it must be related.
I didn't decide that.
Okay, well, what if it contains oxygen? I bet Venus has oxygen on it. That's got to be in the same clade then.
You're avoiding the subject now.
Clades have to do with derived characteristics.
Agree that Kent Hovind failed to address the phylogeny challenge, and then we move on to the second one. I don't know how.
Guys, hold it. When we started,
question.
Hang on. You guys are talking past each other. Hang on. Kent, go ahead, please. But real quickly, clades have to do with derived characteristics, and I don't think oxygen falls into a derived heritable characteristic. But go ahead.
We agreed to go an hour and a half to 2 hours. It has been 2 hours. I have 20 people or 15 people out here waiting for me to haul them home. We usually have our Bible study this time at night for 30 minutes. Now, let's do another one. I am not the least bit afraid of this. And I'll listen to the tape, to this YouTube that we're going to put up. And you can see my pictures that I put up. Kent Hovind Official. And you can call me anytime, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3, and I'll answer the phone and talk to you. But I think I have answered the question dozens of times that a kind is able to bring forth. Oh, I know you don't think I have, but I think the listening audience
Nobody thinks you have. We all know you haven't answered the question. You haven't produced two kinds yet that meet that classification.
Okay. Well, actually, do you want to do a survey, Kent? I mean, we can arrange for something. We have we have well over 700 people watching at this moment. I don't even know half the people watching, and that's unusual. I know a lot of the names, but we can arrange for something where we can get maybe a random sampling to see what people have thought about this. And I'm curious myself. Sure. I like to see what the general consensus is. I'm just reading the live feed, and just by going to the live feed, and I'm not trying to be should be biased here, but just going by the live feed, I think right now everybody has said that you haven't answered the questions that have been posed to you, pretty much.
Well, let the audience decide, and we'll put that on Twitter and the
let's do that on Twitter or something, and we will make a survey on that. Is that cool, Aron? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm all for that. Okay. If we're going to do this again, since we haven't addressed the second item of evidence at all.
Okay, what is your second evidence?
That we actually know things and can show things to be true of evolution where we can't show dick about jack to be true about creationism. So we actually know things about evolution. That's the thing. So we go over the facts of evolution where you can fail to list the facts for creationism, for example.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's have another one of these. I think it's, of course, how you phrase the question determines every survey. Did I answer the question that an elephant and a pine tree are different kinds? And he right away changed it to say elephant and mammoth.
I tell you what.
I said elephant and pine tree. He changed it.
And we put down definitions, too, because this is going to be key. I've given my definition again and again and again, and he keeps saying, well, if it brings forth, which is not a definition of kinds.
Kent, what do you think would be a fair way to phrase, just so it doesn't look like there's any bias, what do you think a fair way to phrase the question would be? And I'll put it on right now as we speak.
Well, let me think about that before I just off the cuff, and I'll text you one.
You can get back to it.
I can do it so much easier. I already did the video on this, the phylogeny challenge, and so anybody that wants to can go watch the video, the phylogeny challenge. Did Kent Hovind meet that challenge?
And that should be the simple question, honestly. I mean, the challenge should be, did Kent answer the question or meet the phylogeny challenge? Now, we are familiar with the phylogeny challenge. I've seen the video. I think most people have. I think it's a fair question to ask, as is. Did Kent answer the phylogeny challenge?
Well, good question. Let's ask a few more questions. Did Aron demonstrate that a pine tree and a whale or elephant are related? Did Aron demonstrate that any
classification of eukaryotes? Yes, I did.
See what the listeners think. Did you demonstrate that evolution actually qualifies as science?
That will have to be the second one because we haven't even addressed that.
Sure.
That was not even addressed in this particular topic.
Well, let's do another one. Set it up with Rhonda, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 2. She keeps the schedule. And I think 1.5 to 2 hours is plenty for people to sit and listen to. But I would like to remind you guys, you're going to die one day, and you're going to be dead for a long time. I hope you can you take what you believe now to the grave? You happy with it?
Yep.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Kent, for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right.
And
thank you.
We're going to kind of wrap this up, obviously. It has been a little bit over 2 hours. There is going to be an after show.
I got to tell you, this was a bucket of chuckles. I didn't expect to have I didn't expect to have as much fun with this as I did.
And I'm glad. You know what? And I enjoyed it thoroughly as well.
I had a good time too. I'm going to give Aron the SpongeBob award.